You're good.
Good?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. I'll now call the meeting to order, and if everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Anyone here with the public who would have any comments relative to non-agenda items? If you'd state your name and your address, please.
My name is Scholler at 1 Maple Street. I just wanted to introduce myself. I did just get elected to Planning Board, and so just wanted to say hello and look forward to working with those that are still on the board after this period. So.
Well, congratulations. Thank you. We look forward to you joining.
Yeah.
You have to sign it, you have to do your authorization with Terry. Make sure that's done
Yes.
before the next meeting.
I have not yet. No, I just found about that the other day, so it is on the list to do this week. So that'll be
Okay,
done.
great. All right, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask,
Yes, any questions?
just curious what your interest was?
Well, I'm an engineer by profession, and just been here 5 years in town. Wanted to get more involved. Felt like this was kind of a good outlet and fit to my interests, and so just kind of went to a meeting last year and found it fascinating, and so
Excellent.
that's kind of like my desire there.
Yeah, a lot of technical people here.
It makes sense.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Next item on the agenda, review and approval of minutes, February 11th, 2025.
I have a couple of comments, but you-
Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead.
On page, starting with line 171, we get into the discussion of the zoning.
Page 4.
See, we got two VCNs. I think the first one's supposed to be the Village Corridor Center, the threshold of 8 units.
Yeah, VCN South, and, yeah, just VC.
VC,
Yeah, we can get in that later. So the middle part, Main Street, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So north was 8 units, yeah, basically Main Street 12, and south was 16. Was that the decision? I have it right here.
So it's the middle one that doesn't need the end. It's this-
Right, it's a, we'll just call it
12
VCC.
units was just VC, Village Corridor. And then we had Village Corridor North and Village Corridor South.
Okay.
um,
And that matches my notes.
One other comment, I don't know, do we usually do this in discussion or it's comments?
Yeah, we want to edit these and then vote as amended, as revised or corrected.
So further down on line 179, my comment about visitors, I'm not sure the point was totally captured there. Just trying to say that the word visitors, if I was an owner, I could interpret that as being, well, only somebody visiting our complex is allowed to use the common space, not a general public person.
So do you want to just put visitors in quotes? You were talking about,
Yeah.
right, visitors
Yeah.
being people who were coming to the community, coming to the complex.
Right, to the
How
development.
about guests?
Well, I mean, it
No,
is
you
supposed to
use
be
the term
public.
visitor.
That was part of that was the wording, because I think in the
Oh,
text,
changed it.
yeah.
Right,
It is supposed to be general public, right?
Yeah.
Not, doesn't necessarily have to be someone that's visiting somebody at the
Oh,
complex.
I see, okay, sure.
Yes.
and
As long, yeah, just wanted to
minutes
make-
is just, I mean, you were trying to clarify
Yes.
visitors.
We can
So
write
just
a
put
little blurb.
clarification of visitors, visitors in quotes. Does that work for you, Bill?
Yeah. That was it.
Okay. Any other changes or corrections? Good. Patrick, Jane, Jeff, Scott. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. to approve as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Is there a second? Second. All those, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, regular business, the review and discussion on proposed zoning amendments.
Do you wanna bring in Bill for the, as a member?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's good,
So-
he's fine. Yeah.
I should have done
Yeah,
that
I
before we
know,
did
I
the
know.
minutes.
You can re-vote on it if you want.
So, Bill, you're being appointed as a voting member tonight, if you vote on anything else.
How does that
Okay.
work if I was at the meeting, but I'm not a voting member? Do I comment on the?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're just,
You're
your vote,
good.
your vote only counts if I had appointed you.
You can still participate in discussions. And like, if the board agrees on your amendments, even if say you're in the alternate at that point, you're still part of it.
You can't make a motion.
Right,
Someone else can
motion,
make a
right.
motion.
You can still be part of the discussion, but not.
You can amend the minutes. Can he amend the minutes? If he's not appointed as a member?
Well, he didn't really amend them.
No.
I called the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Question.
or with the changes. We're more factual.
Stay within the line.
Yeah.
Should be able to comment on your own words, though.
Well, we're just trying to correct them, right? Right. Let's get the minutes right. Okay, so we have, where we left off from the last meeting was page 4. Bart has handed out some new handouts here, so I don't know if people.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go to page 4, it's the same on the new handout, or if people have their old handout. On number 3, which is, how does that not match up?
I moved it.
And
So,
this is totally different.
yeah, I moved it a little bit. All right,
Oh.
so
Why'd you do that?
because it didn't make sense where it was, the waivers.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're at section 32-45, section E3. So on the new handout, what page is that?
3.
Page 3.
That's where we're gonna talk about waivers. That's where I put
Okay.
it. So this is if you want to start.
This is where we are, so let's have a discussion as to, this section, and if anyone has any thoughts about it, changes to it. Basically, this is, through a special use permit issued by the planning board, that we have the ability, to grant waivers to the road setbacks, rear and side setbacks, and structure heights, as we discussed on the new updated, dimensional control table, which is on page, the new handout is gonna be page
16.
16. So let's jump over to there. Page 16 of the new handout. Okay, so,
So I highlighted the yellow ones. So I redid the table to make it more readable for the direction we're going for dimensions. So what I want to do is just confirm was basically what we discussed at the last meeting. So I just want to make sure that we're comfortable, what the board is comfortable with moving forward from a dimensional standpoint. So from a road frontage, I just want to make sure that if we want to do 50, I put 40 here,
wait,
but
so you changed around the whole dimensional table.
I did, yeah, because it's harder to do with how it is. I basically took the,
I'm
Yeah.
comparing it.
okay. So
So so you did the zoning districts, that's great. don't know if anyone's
Yep.
following.
Yeah,
along
your
here.
zoning districts in the far left column,
Nice.
and then the dimensions in the top,
Okay.
top
Yeah, that makes a
column.
lot more sense to read through that way.
And this would make more sense too if we go through this exercise further.
Yeah.
If we have more sub-districts, it'd be easier to
Nice.
plug in.
Okay, so you didn't change anything from what we discussed last time?
Yeah,
correct?
I did a little bit. So the north, maybe I just want to confirm that you want to stay, do we want 50?
We had 50,
Yeah, I have 40 there, but do you want 50 across the districts, the sub-districts for frontage?
that's what we decided.
Okay.
Was there a reason you put in 40 for north?
We had that whole discussion, and we had all the frontages for the North District, and if we go to the... Frontages were primarily, minimums were in the 60s, one at 50.
I mean, I think 50's fine in north. I thought we were struggling with having 50 like in the center, that we were gonna have enough frontage for most buildings in the center.
Well, and the road frontage is relative to creation of a new lot. So we
Okay.
ca- Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, at this point in time, go back to what we were previously discussing.
Okay.
All
I
right?
just,
We can do that
That's fine.
later, but, I mean, we spent a lot of time on that.
I guess if we were to table it right now, maybe something to think about when we bring it back onto the table for discussion is, what is the vision for that area? What do we want it to become?
I think we had that
I know,
discussion, right?
But right now, I can change it to 50, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I think we were pretty much all consistently in agreement with 50. And it was the idea of subdivision of lots.
So then lot size, I think we had a 10 for the north. Is that right?
Lot size. I had 5. I only had just 5K. I think. we
5K
just
for the
have that.
north?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
have anything broken down for 3.
That's what I was
We
wondering
just
for
had
the
5K
5K for the north.
across.
Across?
We had it across the board, because at that point, the only thing that was differential was on maximum structure height.
Okay.
We had 5K across for a minimum lot size.
Okay.
And
Alright, so
you
we'll change
have your new map. Bart did some really nice maps that are also attached.
Yeah, I think if
To the
they would
end.
allow more housing, I'd be in favor of
In the center?
it. Yeah, in the center, yeah.
Well, we have the acreage by the center. If we go on this other handout that Bart did, which,
So, let me explain these
Yeah.
maps. So these maps are basically
I know everyone's on the same page.
okay.
Bill, we're on these maps. Maybe you could put them up on the screen too, so the
Don't have
public.
them today, yeah, I don't have them on that. It's a new program.
So for the benefit of the public, we are looking at handouts of proposed maps that Bart has identified the different corridors that we're looking at. Are these on the website?
They're not,
Okay.
no,
And he's broken them down.
they will be.
And coded them for the different areas that we're talking about, which is from the town line of Durham, down to the old M2 through district, like, that we're talking about on Exeter Road. So for purpose of our discussion right now, we're talking about the size of lots. Okay, so on Main Street,
So, yeah, so there's two, Main Street, I broke it down to, from, Elm Street down to the Pocket Park on corner 108 and 152. I excluded the larger parcels, the mill developments and town-owned land from this analysis, because those are gonna be treated a little differently. What I really want to understand was, what are the sizes and of these parcels, in order to get a feel, because this is what one of our objectives is to understand, a lot of people want to preserve, the feeling that downtown has. So what I did was I basically did a distribution analysis, summing the amount of acreage and then taking the average of the acreage of each lot. And it kind of gives you an idea of what's there. So we have a lot of, and then for our benefit, I have a acreage to square footage chart. So it's at the end, I think. Just to kind of,
We have Exeter, South Main, we don't have square footage for Main Street.
yeah, it's,
Isn't it? Is this the one?
yeah, that one right there. It's a big chart.
Gotcha.
So that, so you can see that a lot of the lots are already small.
So, the big chart, this is Main Street?
This is just a cheat sheet for you to understand because it's in
Oh,
the acreage.
okay,
So
yeah.
you do the conversion if you can't do the conversion. Because we're converting into square footage from acreage in our dimensional table. So anyways, the Main Street area is about 7.4 acres. The mean lot average is 0.17 acres, which is around
7,000.
Yeah. 7,000 square feet. The minimum is 0.02. So, I mean, we got, and the distribution is, heavily towards the smaller side of those lots. So that what we find there in Main Street. So the reason why I put 3,000 is because we see that already. And there's not a lot of land there to begin with. So if we're gonna try to utilize that land better, it might be more advantageous to have a smaller acreage. And if we're not gonna go higher too. So if we're gonna kind of stay the same, which is around 50 feet, 40, 50 feet, I think 50 feet in this area, then we're gonna have to reduce it somewhere in order to get more in, I think.
So where's, I'm sorry,
I was just gonna ask what the average frontage about was of the smaller.
That I didn't calculate, the average frontage.
okay, but what map are you looking at that shows the acreage on Main Street?
One that says Main Street.
And I have the tax map and lot numbers, but where's the acreage?
Oh, I must have put the wrong label on, I apologize.
You have the average, right? The statistics.
Yeah, I got the statistics at the bottom,
Okay, so they're .17.
yeah.
Yeah, you've got all the others.
So that's
Yeah,
that's 7,400 square feet. Where did you come up with 3,000?
But look at the distribution, I mean, there's some of them that are,
Where the mean is .17? Oh, that's what
so,
you're saying.
yeah, so the minimum is
0.02.
.01.
Okay.
So, and then you see a lot already, if you look at the distribution
Yeah,
table. We got a lot that are smaller than the,
gotcha. Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't understanding how to
Yeah.
read the
Now,
chart.
.02 would be, 1,000 square feet.
So more lots would be conforming if it was 3,000 square feet.
that's the
Yeah.
other thing too, yeah. Bring people into conformity.
Right.
And I agree, if, for instance, the post office ever came up, it would allow people to build stuff that looks just like downtown.
Is 50 feet too wide for a 3,000 square foot lot?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Well, no, because the lot's 60 feet deep.
Yeah.
But is it still?
Buildable
is
lot,
I think it should be smaller.
well, especially in the middle of town, this is pretty much a zero lot line.
Or are you just talking about the size of the building relative to the size of the lot?
Yeah. If there's zero setback and it's 50-foot minimum.
So that's a 60-foot deep wide lot by 50. So say it's 3,000 square foot building. 30, we have 50-foot height, so just under
50,
50-foot height. So you're at
as it is today.
5
yeah.
stories.
You can also ask for a waiver, right?
Right.
Yep.
To go
Sure.
25 feet wide and do 2 lots or something? 50?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of these, like if there's 4 lot, like, I'm just thinking of the storefronts, like where the Big Dean is and like that stretch. That's 4 lots right there, between the old hotel and the corner.
Well, then, the discussion would be that, going back to road frontages, you'd have a reduced road frontage in the center of town,
Yeah,
not as a where we're proposing on the north part of town.
I was just bringing up the discussion, yeah, I did put 40 there, yeah, right. In general, I just wanted, yeah.
But to Jeff's point, does it make sense to have a 40-foot road width in the core, the main street?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to either locations, but I would be curious how narrow those lots are. I don't know, must be 30 feet wide anyway. Those buildings, maybe 40 feet. Some of them are narrow. Morelli's is quite narrow, and it's probably a lot.
Well, you see them right here.
I'm just thinking if you want a cluster of storefronts and you make the minimum 50, everyone's gonna need a waiver. If they get big ones.
Yeah, but the existing lots are okay, they're just non-conforming.
Right.
To your point earlier, it's only
It's about
to
subdividing.
create a new lot or to,
Yeah, so if somebody were to divide, there's quite a number of larger lots.
Well,
to the
let's
north.
call them out. Let's say the post office lot. Right?
Sure.
So if somebody subdivided that, and and you go to the next block of 4 up, which would be the Big Bean, the insurance company, the Oak House,
Yeah, Oak House, yeah.
and then,
Bacon
the,
and
the, well,
Tattoo.
the last building.
Yeah.
You know, and some of these buildings have multiple entities on the street side. It's not like you're thinking that, I think maybe as an example, I don't believe Good Juju is one building.
Right.
And I could be calling them out differently, but you know what I'm saying? There's multiple businesses within 4 buildings on the block.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, and I think their frontages are less than 50 feet.
I would think so.
Mhm.
Like the post office block might be 150 feet wide, I'm not sure.
at least 100.
Yeah. So the idea would be a subdivision, if someone wanted to subdivide the post office lot or the bank building lot. You obviously have the church here and the parking lot, that's, you know, unless the, you know, the, Rivermore did something on their, you know, site.
My only thought is
And then the Eagles.
if we're encouraging like similar growth pattern that we have down there, keep consistency, that might. But I mean, people can always get waivers as Bill mentioned too.
Well, that's going back to the proposal, talking about waivers. Right? If that's kind of where we jumped over to here. But it wouldn't be a waiver from road frontage. So why don't we reduce the core? And bring that down to 40. And then in Bart's proposal to reduce the lot size minimum to 3,000, I would agree with that. Anyone have any issues with minimum lot size? Because now that's, that's a 75-foot lot depth. To get 3,000 square feet on a 40-foot lot frontage. Yeah, 75-foot depth.
Is there
Yeah,
really
the-
a public way behind the post office?
Yeah, it used to be Rock Street.
Really? Below the red building?
But that's
Yeah.
above the post office.
Oh, excuse me, above.
That's like way, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
behind it, like well above.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the parking for the red building?
Correct.
Used to be or still?
That's a good
Did the
question.
town ever abandon it?
I don't know if they did.
It's kept open, I know that. I don't think there's any signage.
It's a minimum, so people can go 35 if they need to, or 45 if they need to.
Mhm.
Just to get the square footage if that post office lot isn't deep enough. Just thinking about lots
Oh,
specifically.
it doesn't,
To get the
oh, to
property.
get the minimum square footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then it'd be, one of the sides are, it's double frontage, so.
I mean, I guess we can discuss it. I don't think anyone has any thoughts that the idea of the post office lot would be to subdivide that into multiple lots versus trying to utilize that whole lot to do a nice urban infill that would address parking, mixed use, residential on one site. I think that's really been the discussion, certainly at the, NCDC, NBA, thoughts on the board maybe, that would be the appropriate redevelopment of the post office lot, as opposed to making it look like the Big Bean block. But where you would be heading, Jeff, I think, is that you would have multiple owners on one site.
Well, I'm thinking of that development that's behind the church and the church parking lot. That's
Yeah.
the most recent housing development we've had in Main Street, Center Main Street, right? There hasn't been anything else.
I think the
And
only.
it's one lot,
And it's one
With
lot.
multiple
and
owners, they
what,
condominiumized
three houses
it.
in there? 3 condos in
four
there?
condos.
4 condos in there.
Residential in the main building plus mixed use.
Is there mixed use in there too?
It's
Yeah.
it's vacant.
Well, but it's, the building is mixed use, and then
Oh,
four
the
distinct-
existing building that's still
Correct.
there. So would that be the kind of development you could see at the post office lot or the bank lot, either one of
Well,
those?
I also think it's better to, personally, have one ownership so that you have one entity controlling it, as opposed, even if it's condominiumized into multiple owners. But from a development standpoint, or a concern over maintaining the building, or not getting the idea of having a block that is one contiguous repeat of a Main Street type scenario, because somebody carves it into multiple lots and then has setbacks in between buildings perhaps. Or you don't have a consistency of one development. Somebody buys, one parcel, builds a building. When's the next building get built? When's the next, and do the two corner streets get built?
I mean, I would argue that side setbacks in downtown could be 0,
I would too.
and therefore you would get a contiguous block like you have.
That's what I was thinking for townhouses too. Can you have a connecting townhouse without, 0 setbacks?
No, you would need a 0 setback. Well, no, if it's condominiumized, it's
Okay.
one building.
One building,
It's just
right.
2, 3, 4 owners, however it
Yeah.
would work out.
So for the center, side and rear, considering adjust that.
Make it 0.
Yeah. And I think that's also, I know in review of the Exeter zoning, that's, when they do the downtown, it's a 0 setback. When we were, you had sent out that, their zoning. And I think it's, to your point, Jeff, as far as trying to, how do you facilitate the reproduction of what is downtown? It's easier to facilitate it if you have to redevelop the entire larger lot to have multiple storefronts.
Yeah, I think sometimes those buildings become monolithic and don't really look truly organic. You know what I mean? Kind of like in Durham, they built a few that are,
The big block ones?
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
I think that would look funny there. It's it's to be determined by someone down the road. Just opening the door for the possibility of multiple owners, right?
Well, I still think it could be multiple owners, but how do you coordinate 4 different developers? And how do you coordinate where somebody builds on the corner and then someone builds the other corner? you know, one's on Church and the other's on Chapel. And then, how do you get somebody to build in between?
I don't think you do.
And then you end up with undeveloped space of, 80 feet on Main Street.
Maybe.
I don't think that's is that
I
good
mean,
planning?
Maybe, I mean, otherwise what do you do? Just say, what's the difference then if you say it's 50 or 30? You could do either one and say that you could end up with the same problem. You could still end up with 3 lots there with a gap in between 2 buildings. I mean, you're just facilitating that ability for people to do it.
I don't think, but my point is, I don't think that's what we want to incentivize, or that's what we want the zoning to really reflect.
Whoever the first developer goes in, everyone else is gonna have to kind of follow that same philosophy, right? And that might not deteriorate, but might not incentivize people to come in because they don't want that.
I mean, people have gotten along in cities doing that for hundreds and hundreds
Yeah,
and
true
hundreds
point,
of
true
years
point.
all over the world. I mean, it may not happen in downtown Newmarket, but it has happened in downtown
Yeah, it has,
Newmarket.
you're right.
Well, I think even just looking at how downtown Newmarket is built, when you look at the block, there are blocks of buildings that are one building that were later kind of subdivided into multiple owners, not in condominium ownership. Right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some that aren't that way too, though, as a mix, I think.
I can't think of anywhere they have shared walls that were built separately. But then again, not physically looking at it, it'd be hard to make that a factual statement.
So are you saying there should be side setbacks? And they should
No,
be
I
40
think there
feet?
should be 0 setbacks because, somebody, I don't have a problem with that.
So
I just,
what was I saying that would incentivize the issue? The lot width?
no, I think you were talking more about how to subdivide these properties and worried about the depth. To have,
Yeah, my thought
Like
was,
that's where it was
my
going.
thought was that if somebody does want to subdivide that parcel, specifically if we're looking at parcels, and you brought up to look at the post office parcel as an example, would they be able to achieve the minimum lot size with the minimum road frontage with the depth of the parcel? So if we say the minimum is like 40 feet wide, but the lot isn't even deep enough.
then you can't subdivide it.
Yeah.
Right, you'd have to go 42.
Is that okay with me?
You
Absolutely.
would have to go 42 feet wide.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't be able to hit the minimum. That's the only thing I was bringing up was, is it too narrow to even work anywhere downtown? Does it even matter?
Mhm.
That was my point. But I don't know because I don't have dimensions on the wall.
And what about the road setback in downtown? 50 feet sounds like a lot.
No,
Sounds
that's-
like, I don't think there are buildings downtown that meet that.
It's a maximum. So
Oh, that's
the minimum,
maximum.
yeah, the minimum
Okay.
0.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so back to roadside, so last month, we decided to make them all 5,000 square feet. Bart brings up new information that we didn't have last month, that makes sense that if we reduce to 3,000 square feet on Main Street, more lots would be conforming. So I think I think the discussion is, we agreed last month 5,000 square feet. Does it make sense to reduce that to 3,000 square feet? Keep it to 5,000? Or is there some other number that we want to discuss?
And Bart, what's the advantage of conforming lots?
Less relief they can get, a need to build.
So less appearances before the board.
Yeah, you're giving back property rights.
Yeah,
For redevelopment of
Yeah.
existing lots?
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, usually, when we do zoning, just a side pause here, our goal is always to try to, if there's non-conformities out there and a lot of people are coming for relief for that purpose, maybe there's something wrong with the zoning.
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So, where's the consensus on this?
I'm fine with 3,000.
I'm fine,
I'm
yeah,
fine with
3,000's
Okay.
fine.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Side and rear to 0.
Side and rear 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
So everyone's good with that?
Still had an issue with the road setback for the north and south. Last time we talked
That's-
about,
The minimum?
The minimum is 0.
I know, and I'm thinking we may need some just to provide some sight distance as they're pulling out of the driveway.
And we had decided that, right?
Um,
We had
Yeah, it's on.
minimum road
Either that or
setback
put
of-
speed bumps on the road to slow the traffic down.
Yeah, if it was a side road,
That's good with a good shot.
That's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
term. Well, state might have an exception to that.
I mean, if it was a side road, you know, even if it's a Dame road, I wouldn't have as much issue, but it's 108.
Yeah, it's a main
You're
road.
going 30, 40 miles an hour.
Well, they
Yes.
can't go in the right of way, so they have to stop at the right of way. There's already a sidewalk there.
So last month, we agreed to 5 feet
For north and south?
across the board.
Even downtown?
That's what we had last month. I'm looking at our notes.
Do we want to reconsider, let's just go north. We'll start from north and go down. So, you know, my thought is there's already sidewalk there. And so that's the question, can you see? If you build right to the right of way, because you can't go in the right of way, you know, will you be able, I'm thinking Dame Road. Would you be able to see someone come from Dame
Then
Road?
that was the discussion.
Yeah.
To not allow someone to build basically to the setback, to the
Right away?
right of way.
Right, which just reinforces my
Yeah.
point. I think we did have that discussion.
We did.
It might not be in the notes, but we did have that.
If you have parking on the side of the building and you have to screen it, you're gonna have visual blockage
Yeah, you will.
at the right-of-way edge
If you have parking,
on the side of the building. Because you can park on the side of the building as
Mhm.
long as you screen the vehicles. But if there's only 5 feet between the house and the right-of-way, you're probably gonna have blockage from whatever you're using to screen your vehicles, visual blockage. I mean, there is the sidewalk. I thought part of the.
It's edge of
the-
right of way.
Right, the concept was to bring, that we talked about, I remember, and I think Bart shared some literature that showed kind of the dead urban space between buildings and sidewalks, and bring buildings closer to the sidewalks, you don't end up with like 5 feet of dirt or unused land between the sidewalks and the buildings and stuff. I know that it's the right of way and the sidewalk might not go to the edge of the right of way.
Well, we specify corner lots. Is that what we're concerned about? Is, you know, when streets intersect? Or are we more concerned about coming out of the driveway?
well, both.
Oh, line of sights, you know, pull
Pretty
out.
straight.
And there is the concern about pedestrians too, I would say, as well. I mean, I'd throw it out there, not to argue against my own point, but you know, you do have people walking in it, and I would say it is a little, by Big Bean, it's a little easier to see. Sometimes it's tough at the end of the street by Crack Skulls.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Well, and that's the other part of this is
Parking, though?
if you're
Well-
bringing
Parking issue.
the
Um,
north area or the south area to try and replicate what you have in the center, then part of what you're doing is creating that same kind of traffic pattern, which has that problem. If you're coming out of Chapel Street, I think, Chapel Street, you can't see that well. You have to be very careful coming out there
And-
to inch out.
But just to interject there, and also the difference in downtown is, it's not just the sidewalk to the road, it's sidewalk, parked cars, and then the road.
Yep. And there's a
On
lot of
North Main Street, we
pedestrians, a
don't
lot
have
of
that.
pedestrians crossing the street a lot.
Yeah. But my point being is that on North Main, we don't have parking along North Main.
Right.
It's sidewalk and then the road.
I would say that if we're, I think I brought this up last week a little bit, if we're trying, I get the feeling that through our discussions, we've decided that we're not going to try to replicate downtown
Correct.
at the north and south ends of town. Like, the north end of town seems like we're trying to replicate what's already closer to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
like closer to the Lamprey River, based on, having
Right.
houses set back a little bit.
Yes.
Side setbacks, so it's not trying to recreate
Mhm.
downtown.
Yeah, and that's why I think
I-
we came to the 5 foot. So do you wanna,
Which was,
just kind of stay in focus here, let's just make a decision on north corridor.
it is different than our original discussions and going into it.
Suggest 30.
No, Jeff, I'm saying
30
last,
feet?
No,
last.
I know last, I'm just saying like we originally.
Okay.
proposed it,
It's like-
Trying to extend
Yeah.
downtown.
That's what I remember too.
But corner lot's
It's
okay, but
evolved.
I don't know,
That's what
30 feet's a
happens.
lot, it's space that you won't use,
Seems like,
most likely.
Can we all agree that it's 0 downtown?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great, check. Don't change that. Okay.
Well,
On the north side, is there a proposal to change from 0 to some other setback? This is a minimum.
So 5 feet is where we were before, right?
Correct.
I still like that. I still like it closer in than further out.
And we
So-
have a proposal here for 30.
For 30 feet?
Help me understand 30.
Then you would have a lot of existing structures on North Main that are non-conforming. You're making them non-conforming.
About that, I think there's a lot of houses right now that are set back.
I think Bill's right.
Only when you get towards the town line.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
think it's only
saying,
just to the top of the hill and just a little bit beyond, like maybe to the gas station. You might have
The
non-conforming.
Yeah, 'cause
duplexes that are all along here,
yeah,
these
those
smaller
duplexes are
lots.
close in.
Yeah,
Like just to the left to the left, just to the left of Crucex, a few houses, I think it starts to be set back. further.
exactly.
Just towards
When
downtown
you get
from
into the-
Crucex.
More the ranch, newer
Well,
construction.
Dame Road North, it starts to
Dame Road
widen up.
North.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like the house to the left of Crucex is way back.
Yeah,
Up
it's-
on that
it's-
little
it's-
knoll.
And then you go to the
Yeah.
left, it's even, the next one to the left is.
And then the
even-
bowling
it's farther
alley
back.
is probably right up against the town line,
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say,
Um,
that's
although
about
they
the
do have a
closest
little
one that I
strip
can think
that
of.
they
Oh,
have.
it's 30 feet.
The
though.
bowling
So we've got a
alley-
5, we've got a 30.
What's the bowling?
It's pretty close.
The bowling alley is probably either right at the right of way or
Yeah.
pretty darn
I think-
close.
What do we want? That's more like what's there, but what do we want to become?
Which is where, how I thought we started with
Yeah.
extending Main Street out and in the vision that Ivy brought with the buildings clustered and like this, not saying this is the wrong way to go that we're discussing, because driving through there, it does look like what we're
So
creating.
are you,
but
are you sticking with 0?
I'm fine with 0. I'm fine with 5 feet. but
Okay.
0 is.
5 and maybe 5, Jane, where are you?
5.
5,
at 30 is a lot.
okay. Consensus there is 5.
Were you suggesting that a corner lot might be treated differently?
Could, I think if we're mandating commercial, but just hold on a
Yeah.
second, yeah. Corner lot could be, in the sense that there'd be a lot of pedestrian space, in that space where 30 feet would be. You would have more economic activity, maybe more patio space, something like downtown, like you sit outside, so maybe in those instances.
In those instances, would be covered by a special use permit, okay? Because that's, what's the proposed zoning, waivers to road setbacks, side, rear
it's over
setbacks,
16
and structure height. We would have the right to waive a special use permit. So that's a unique situation, that maybe provide a waiver.
That's a good point, though, like a higher traffic,
But
a higher
then-
traffic establishment might have it be set back further, because if they have a parking.
But it'd be a special use permit only if they're proposing 16 units.
More over 60 units, yeah.
Waivers to road setbacks, side, rear setback, and structure height.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be requesting a waiver to the minimum setbacks. They
Any
wanna use the whole
setbacks.
lot.
Road setback, side, rear setback, structure height. That's the proposed language.
But why would a developer ask for a waiver to the minimum setback?
Because they might want to build closer to the road for some reason.
I know we'll.
We might not
allow them
approve
at
it.
5 feet. We are allowing them to go to 5 feet.
Or allow them to go to 5 feet. That's the consensus.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure out why they would ask for a waiver to go to 20 feet.
No, they'd be allowed by right. I think what Val's saying is two different things right now. Val's saying that if they want to go to 0, they go for the special use permit. What you're saying is, if we, for corner lots, we treat those differently, say, just for argument's sake, 30 feet, then they would have to come in for a waiver for the special use permit to get closer.
If we treat the corner lot differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm saying don't treat the corner lot differently. It's a different lot, so therefore they may have different criteria in order to be able to substantiate a special use permit.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with coming out of Dame Road and looking left, and if that new development is right.
It's 5 feet.
You're gonna have
The
a hard time
NCD,
looking left.
the NCDC lot becomes 5 feet. Let's be kind of real. We have an existing property on the left-hand side coming out of Dane Road,
Mhm.
which is probably less than 5 feet. Or just about 5 feet. I mean, the sidewalk comes pretty much near that.
But there's no structure there blocking.
There is that's the screenshot, the little house is connected. It used to be a grocery store, and the sidewalk. On opposite is the
Opposite, yes.
NCDC lot
Opposite, yes.
with no structure.
I thought you were talking about the
So
lots.
if somebody was building on the NCDC lot, 5 feet off of Dame Road and 5 feet off of
You get that?
Main Street, you're coming out, if you're turning right, there's no change because unless somebody's done something different on the opposite corner.
Mhm.
If you're trying to turn left, you're looking for traffic to the right, which is on the opposite side of the road.
Well, we have site distance requirements, right?
In site plan.
No. But not for buildings.
Subdivision. Oh. Yeah, so I think in that lot specifically, we're talking about that intersection, you know, you got the right of way, you got the sidewalk, and you're gonna be 5 feet. So I think,
Right. So you got what, 10 feet for a building?
let's see,
Is there a mechanism or a way to say if you have so much traffic coming in and out of the parcel or something like that, you have to set it back further?
well, I
Can
think,
we keep it here and then if somebody, you know,
I don't know if
I
that's
think-
similar, like, a way to encourage a higher use to be set back further for site distance. More people.
so in this instance,
Or a corner
someone
lot.
would by right
Yeah.
have the ability, is this the one where they can do
yeah, this is,
12?
do we, yes, north is 12, right?
12.
Okay, by right.
Oh, yeah, let's,
Well, that's 16.
can we update that density? What do we have for, that's not 16 across, it's, you have it actually in here. Or in the minutes. Bill amended the minutes.
It's not per lot, it's per building. So you don't want,
Okay.
yeah, so if you do
Why do
12,
we have-
if you do 12, you're excluding the courtyard, if you want to get rid of that.
Oh, okay,
So,
per building.
yeah.
Okay,
It's-
I think we have a majority of the board wants to go with 5. We can always come back and revisit this, but I think we have a lot of material to get through.
And then maybe something we can do
Right.
in the site plan regs when we update those. That would be probably the point to have that discussion or have those requirements.
Certain types of,
And also, I think a
Development.
traffic study would look into that too, if we were to trigger that. So, but,
And we should probably make it 5 on the south as well, right?
I would agree with that.
5 across?
5 south and north,
5 on the south.
and 5 on the north. Not 5 across.
Oh, excuse me, yeah. And 0 in the,
0
yeah,
downtown.
downtown. 505.
Okay, maximum road setbacks. Where do we have these at? We had 20. Why'd that get changed?
Is it 20? Okay.
20? We're gonna go back to what we agreed to on that. Okay, side and rear setbacks, I think we're good, right?
10,
Did
0,
we have-
10. Yep.
We
There-
had 10, and we agreed to 0 tonight and 10. Are we revisiting any of that? For north or south?
Just a quick, can you rebuild a house where it is if it burns down?
Yes, you have 2 years.
Or if you want, can you voluntarily tear it down and build a house where it is?
Yes. You can. You have 2 years to have the building permit. You pull it.
I'm just making sure, because there's some houses that are much further than 50 feet.
So I think the real question is, can someone do a redevelopment on the existing footprint?
Subdivide it.
And do they have to,
Yeah.
say it's not even a lot that's subdivided, can they just do an
what I
existing
mean,
redevelopment?
just
Or
tear
is
the
it treated as a non-conforming structure because it doesn't meet the current zone?
It's legally
Right.
non-conforming.
Because there's some
And so
houses
if it's
that are.
legally non-conforming, they can redevelop as long as it doesn't make it more non-conforming.
As long as they don't lose the vesting, that 2-year period.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, structure height.
I think
we
before
had-
35.
Yeah, so
Was
we
it
had
30?
35 on the north, 50 downtown, and we had 50 on the south. Okay, anyone want to revisit that? All right, and is the minimum structure, I think we had not applicable.
And structure height.
Yeah,
Okay.
so. we
Want
have-
to get rid of all three?
Didn't matter, right, because we were doing form-based, so it's a
Yeah.
matter.
Do you want to get rid of it in the M2 then? And just get rid of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have the updated, I think consensus on the update to the table. So now going back to the proposed language about waivers. So if a developer comes to us and they want to waive anything on this table for the lot which they are proposing to develop or redevelop, then they would have to meet, if they want to waive a road setback, a side rear setback, or structure height, they could only do that through a special use permit, is the proposed language that Bart has drafted. And then the consistencies, it's consistent with the criteria, consistent with the purpose of the district, suitable for the location proposed. I think that goes to, Bill's point on a corner lot. Would not cause significant adverse impacts, same. And the proposed setback and structure heights consistent with applicable setbacks and or structure height of existing buildings located on adjacent lots. So that's the consistency. Any thoughts or comments about this proposed language?
Just a point of clarity, this is existing language in the M2A. And I'm going to reformat this to make it read a little better. Kind of have it more bullet pointed instead of a long
Oh,
paragraph.
good idea. Any thoughts or comments? Everyone good with the language? I can move on that, okay. Other requirements. No residential dwelling units within the first floor buildings are permitted to directly front on North Main Street, or Exeter Road. Do you want to break these down? No, because then they could be on Jerry Ave or on,
South Main. South Main,
Okay.
yeah.
so how about some discussion on this?
Where did you go to? Where is this?
I put it
Oh, want to go to a map? Let's do that.
Page
This
5.
doesn't make sense anymore.
Go back on this street.
So this one's a little tricky because, well,
Go ahead.
there's some houses that front on Exeter Road that are residential units. So maybe just so there'll be some nonconformity there. But, this is what we're trying to create a new, add more commercial. So just
Along the core.
yeah.
So it's, oh, yeah.
I thought
Is it,
we were trying to make a percentage of the lots would be commercial or something.
Yeah, I was discussing it with Ivy, and She thinks that that'd be hard to do, so it's either you mandate it or don't.
Because what if 5 people come in and do residential on the bottom, you're like, the rest you can only do commercial?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more of, does the town want it one way or not? So mandate commercial or not?
And this comes from M2 currently, correct?
Yes. Into a, two.
M2A, sorry.
Yeah.
The,
Wonder if we could offer more flexibility for the north and south, if it's already existing residential.
right. And when we go to that form-based zoning, if then you go to the types of buildings, they're not all mixed use. So it's almost contrary to the form-based zoning to be kind of consistent
Mandating.
with things that are around it.
There's some lots by the tracks there that would be really, I'd be hard pressed to see them ever have
Yeah.
commercial on the bottom floor. On the,
Yeah, an Exeter
on the
Road.
northbound side,
Yeah.
just south of the tracks. There's a couple really small, tiny lots.
So that-
Someone was gonna redevelop them,
Yeah, probably just be straight residential, I would think.
or they could have a beauty shop on the first floor,
Good.
like one does now.
Yes, that's a bigger lot, that one.
So, I mean, this is already in the M2A. We have approvals, although we haven't moved forward, that meet this.
M2A covers this entire.
No, M2A is the existing from the railroad tracks up to the,
What's this?
oh, good. M2A is from the railroad tracks,
There you
the,
go. Look at this map.
oh, beautiful.
I can
Up to the
zoom
gas
in.
station, maybe?
Yeah,
That's the current M2A.
it's a little wonky. Pull over.
Excuse me, it's easier.
Oh.
M2A is kind of a couple different islands.
So we might want to restrict this just into the VC zone, which is being the downtown. Then we're getting,
So M2A, you find Weaver's Row, so everyone can see. So up here, Weaver's Row area, and then the business park on Exeter Road, a little further down, then along the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of just two different islands.
Kind of like some of the language that Exeter used, but it's a ground floor requirement, but it's a little wordy. It's
Yeah.
more than we need, but
so thoughts about applying to all districts. Because if it doesn't apply to VC North, South, and Main Street, we could end up on North and South with just all residential buildings.
Is that a bad thing?
It's not what we're looking for
Yeah.
on the corridor.
Can you limit the number of residential units without having commercial?
That's a
Could you
good
say
idea.
like up to 2 or 4 residential units without
Mhm.
having a commercial below is allowed? And then if you get above that in residential, you have to have commercial. So
Then you get all 4 units.
Yeah,
Developments.
then you get all the 4-unit developments.
maybe, or you might, the smaller lots might be 4-unit residential and the bigger ones might be 6 units with commercial. I don't know. That is a valid point though. You're gonna end up with all 4-unit residential. So, maybe by square footage, so the residential units would have to be too small, something.
Yeah, 'cause we really only have 4 of the types of building that would be considered commercial and mixed use. Small and simple, and, well, I guess, yeah. One.
let me read the first point of Exeter so you can see.
Yeah,
Ground floor use shall be commercial where pre-existing buildings are rehabilitated or redeveloped that were specifically designed to have commercial use on the ground floor.
So if there was a commercial element and you redevelop it, you're keeping that commercial element?
That's good.
For how long?
It were
You buy a
designed
house,
for
take it out of
commercial.
commercial.
I'm thinking of existing buildings,
Yeah, thinking about that funeral home thing,
right? Because that wasn't
Well, it's,
designed for commercial.
is that right?
That's vacant now, so that loses all its uses.
So I was gonna say.
No, but he's thinking that as an example.
Okay,
As
yeah.
an example, right.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
Design-
it wasn't built for mixed use. It was a residential
Yeah, which I
converted.
guess is okay, so if it was built with some sort of commercial storefront building, you know, it should retain that commercial use. And they can ask for a waiver, you know.
What I'm saying is, as examples, on the north and south corridor, what would apply? Which one of those buildings would apply to that?
Bowling alley.
The roofing place?
So the bowling alley is a good one.
Cruise
No,
Jack's
the roofing
garage.
place wasn't that, that's
It
a
is now.
house. Well, they've converted it to mixed use.
What about the blacksmith salesman?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Russell?
Cruise
Yeah.
Jack's,
That's
Gas
kind of
station.
one way.
dentist
What's it?
office.
The gas
Yeah.
station?
Gas station?
That's commercial.
Gas
Dentist
station.
office? Yeah.
Dentist office might have been residential first.
It was all residential,
Yeah.
they have Moissan's lived there. So the NCDC lot, the vacant lot next to it that I own, right?
Mhm.
All the other buildings continuing on until Obashan Hardware on that side.
Till the real
Oyster
estate.
River Real Estate.
No, that was a house, converted
looks like
to
a
have an
house.
office in the
Oh,
basement.
okay, so that wouldn't fall under this.
Correct. Then you cross the street, the laundromat, built for commercial. Nothing else until you come down to the bowling alley, Cruzex, the sale shop, the gas station.
Would the
That
church
would be
building, if the church ever decided, was that originally
It's deed restricted.
Thrift shop.
the thrift shop
It's
part is? I know the
it's
park
deed
There's a
is.
house there, right?
No, but it's all, the whole
The
lot
church
is
is
deed.
gone.
Oh, it
The
is.
park is only an easement over the church land.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they could do whatever they wanted with the lot that
We
the
could
house
double
was
check,
on.
but I'm pretty sure when we were doing the park,
Yeah.
that
Some of those buildings I wouldn't even know. I mean, I haven't been around long enough to know if like somebody opened the building and the first thing in the bottom floor was a barber shop, say,
yeah.
like 150 years ago or something.
I think you had to set a threshold if you were
But
gonna
is-
have that, if that zoning.
Was
like,
it
as
built
of-
for that?
Yeah.
It seems like a good compromise of trying to retain some commercial space in the north and south, but rather than pushing it on a home that was always residential, and now you're asking them to do commercial, I don't know.
So would
I
we?
agree with that. I don't think you should force it residential.
Should be,
Then I think
You're-
it's more that what I'm hearing is if it's existing commercial and it's gonna be redeveloped, it should be redeveloped for mixed use. So it still has a commercial aspect on the main level.
commercial and mixed use.
Right, commercial and mixed use, so that we don't lose the commercial aspect. And I did bring that up as a concern when we did the grid, right? Because there's so few commercials spaces on the north and south. And then maybe it also gets just extended to to undeveloped lots. So therefore, NCD solid lot, the next vacant lot, let's
Way
call it
down
the
lot.
road staging vacant
Yeah.
lot. And then the lot by, Rite Aid,
Oh, yeah.
the Cheney property that already has approvals, but they could come back and get reapproved, because that's a vacant lot. Those would be all the vacant lot, oh, and then still the vacant lot, I don't know if it got converted, but, when, Pelzer put the house, he sells the front, it can be built on. I think, was that like 5 or 6 vacant lots? So
Yeah,
if it
that was-
applied to the redevelopment of vacant lot or an existing commercial building or commercial use, mixed use. So if you have a house, you could convert it to residential. Or if you have a duplex or an apartment building and you wanted to reconvert or expand, it could all be residential.
What about the one that you said is a barber, or a, not a barber, but a hair?
The hair salon,
salon.
that's,
Is that
that's,
further down?
So would that have
It's
to
on-
be sold as mixed-use property?
I don't think so, because isn't the salon just an accessory use?
I don't know if it's a home-based business.
Home-based business, thank you.
And what about,
So I don't think it's considered a commercial property, but we could look on the tax card.
Just exclude a
Sorry,
home-based use.
Patrick.
well, I was just thinking, so the couple of those buildings on North Main that were houses that were converted into businesses,
Uh-huh.
what if they, if they've been a business for like 50 years or something, shouldn't we try and retain that and say that would also be a mixed use or commercial only?
That's why I think we need to
That's
set,
what he's saying.
Yeah,
we need a threshold, what date, if you were a business at this point in time, then you have to adhere to
yeah,
these rules.
yeah.
Or if it's called out as an existing commercial use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think that'd be the cleanest
It's-
way.
Yeah, because I just wouldn't want that to, I
Exclude
don't think we'd want to
home-based
lose
businesses.
that. Also, I think it
Yeah,
would,
that's a good way to do it.
So not only specifically designed, but has been
Used it.
used as a commercial use for.
So vacant lots or existing commercial,
so is that,
mixed use.
would that include the vacant lot that is between Oyster River and the house that was fixed up a few years ago?
Yeah, because it's a vacant lot.
That's big, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's been wanted to be redeveloped into mixed use before,
Or all residential.
or all residential, yeah.
Down in the center would be
Mandatory.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Correct.
If that's the case, I don't even know if you need to specifically design. Right?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
just say that we're calling it out by the use, or the status of the property.
I think that's a good compromise right there. It's a good out.
Interesting to hear how residents or owners of those buildings would feel of handing them in to,
I think they have
How
more
so?
flexibility.
Which gives them so much more than what they can do now.
Well, if they're still residential, if they're residential, then they can continue to be residential.
so if, say, you have a residential upstairs and you're like, when I close this shop down, I'm gonna turn it all into residential, and you've been thinking about that for 35 years, you know what I mean, or whatever. And
Let's, as a
Can you do
real
that?
life
Can you do that?
example, the building on the corner, well, as a real life example, where the roofing company is. Okay, another one with a screen company, those are mixed-use buildings. So what you're,
But you're saying that can't be forced though, because it was originally built for,
no, that's not what we're,
Okay,
I don't,
so
that's
we're
not what I'm
just-
proposing. I'm proposing that no residential units within the first floor of a building on vacant lots, lots with existing commercial use or mixed use, however you want to say that, with the exception of home-based businesses, are permitted to directly, sorry, where are we? Yeah, are permitted to directly front on North Main Street.
so how would
those-
that affect the roofer?
How would that affect
That
roofing?
language affect that roofing?
If he wants to redevelop that property, it will be a mixed-use property,
Or commercial.
or all commercial, right?
But it can't be residential, I guess. is
It
what
can't be
you're trying to
residential on
say.
the first floor,
Fronting North Main.
So, because they opened a roofing business.
because it's an existing commercial use of the property.
Correct. So the,
Yeah.
As
Right,
a-
so my question is valid, I wonder how they would feel being, you know what I mean, like, it hasn't been a roofing business very long.
When he built it, it was commercial, and then he converted it to have residential in there. When it was first built, it was being run as two businesses. He had the restoration business and his roofing business.
That house?
Yes, yes. When he bought it, let me say that, he converted it to commercial.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
What if an existing commercial use is vacated for some time?
Yeah, that would be how you get around it,
yeah, you could lose the status and then
and it becomes all.
reset it.
Do you
Yeah.
bring back the specifically designed?
Right.
Yeah, I just know, I don't know, I just, when you change stuff like that, where somebody buys something with a potential long-term vision, the rules get changed midway, I guess it happens, I guess.
Yes,
All the time.
to everybody who owned property prior to 1972. Isn't that what zoning came in?
No,
Or
earlier than that.
77? Pro Newmarket.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
The common good.
So people good with, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would give us what we're looking for with the expansion of downtown, having a mix of uses, not all residential, but obviously lots of opportunity for continued use of residential, grandfathered properties, and expansion of residential
Yep.
in, you know, all sections of the town, along the corridor. Okay. The next item was the mill development and redevelopment activities. That goes to section 32-241, mill redevelopment for standards. If we jump over to that section, that's
All the way at
on
the end.
535, and then it jumps to the end.
Close to, page,
Yeah, and I'll put some history on this. Page 31.
in the new packet, yep, still
Okay.
31, yep.
All of this section is 2000. And this section was created in order to redevelop the mills. So I think going through this, the initial discussion should be, does any of this section still apply? Or does it only apply if there's or should it only apply if, and it would be modified, if there's redevelopment of the parking lot, you know, for Weaver Row, the mills, Newbury, all that. And there's one existing building, which was called, I think, the Boiler House building down by the marina that was not redeveloped. So this whole section of our zoning ordinance was specifically done to redevelop the mills.
What's the question again?
Does it make sense to take out the whole thing?
Is that why it's red but not crossed out?
I basically
changed-
transferred
Yeah.
over the language
Yeah.
to the end, so we're dissolving the M1 district.
So isn't the question more, does it hurt to leave it as opposed to take it out?
The mills are being redeveloped.
Right,
Why
but
do we have it?
if you have, like you said, where the boiler was, is that building exist anymore?
Yeah, that's part of the mill complex that wasn't redeveloped. That particular building.
Right,
Right if you're about to go up the hill between the buildings,
Yeah.
on the right.
that's what,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like halfway.
So if someone wants to redevelop that building, this all applies.
right.
I can't imagine anyone can financially redevelop that building and meet the requirements of what is involved here.
Okay, I see your point, okay.
Where is that?
Right by the marina?
Well, it's like half, there's a granite
Across the
staircase
street
on
from
one
the
side of
office
it.
Yeah.
There's two buildings
Exactly.
there.
And there's the
Yeah.
road.
There's actually two over here.
Couple
They're,
offices.
one half is owned by Lou and the other by Timber,
Eric, yeah.
Eric. So that could be redeveloped, but if this didn't exist, it could be redeveloped, but it would be consistent with the new zoning we adopted.
Yeah.
They would have to be, right, because it's still in the district. So the new zoning would apply to the redevelopment of those, that one building that's owned by two owners.
I think Elon Musk says get rid of it.
They don't even have frontage or,
No,
And
well,
it's-
yeah, no.
so it's gonna be non-conforming.
It would be non-conforming. But they, in order to redevelop it, they would have to conform to the new zoning,
It's for
other
sizes.
than,
Yeah, frontage.
yeah,
lot
frontage,
size.
or lot size, or whatever.
But they'd be able to 16 units.
Yeah, and not have commercial on the ground floor, because it's not on, because of front Main Street.
On front Main Street.
So that would definitely give more housing. I don't know if they can meet the parking requirements, but.
Yeah, that seems like that would be the challenge there.
Are there parking requirements? I thought there were.
I think
on that.
zero on Main Street,
Zero Main
right?
Street, so no parking
Yeah.
requirements.
Yes, there's no parking requirements
Yeah.
anyway.
So
they could-
market driven, you know,
Where are you gonna, residents gonna
On their
park
own.
though?
yeah. And then if there's a redevelopment of
Weaver's Row.
the parking lot, if they could ever figure out how to do that, then it would be on the Main Street side, which is kind of where the the little garden areas and the wall garden. The top of the wall garden area would have to be commercial facing Main Street. I mean, they obviously, there would have to be a parking garage there, right, in order to do this.
I bet the basement of that thing isn't even developable. The bottom is probably in a flood.
The basement of
The
what?
bottom of
They're
the
exempt
boiler
properties
Um,
from shoreline.
from.
Are you talking about the existing building in the
boiler building,
mills?
the boiler.
No, that's all about.
The ground floor is? Okay.
There's no basement.
That's what I'm saying, the ground floor, like where that pull-in
You
level.
drive right
where
in,
that-
yeah,
that-
that's all slab.
Yeah, that's above the flood elevation, huh?
No, I don't know that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I meant, like,
think they're
literal like
exempt.
FEMA.
Yeah.
Clever language about that. Can't be exempt from the water rising.
Back in the day.
Fresh of
That-
1872,
there was a
washed
lot
right
of work
over
into
that.
this.
I have a picture of it.
Right over that building.
That whole area, took out the dam.
Well, don't you remember,
why
everybody
the
wanted
dam's
just
built in
commercial and
1890.
tried for years and didn't happen?
Or maybe it's 1882, I can't remember. I saw a picture of it when I was writing the history.
I like it.
I have a picture of the plant
The
on front of
freshet,
dam.
yeah,
The water.
that's what they call it, the freshet.
Freshet, yeah.
It washed out the whole
Well,
dam.
it ended up in the mills getting redeveloped. I just don't, I think its intended purpose has been,
And,
yeah, it's been addressed. So people good with taking that out?
I'm good.
I'm okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Bart, do you see any issues there? As far as
No.
any unintended consequences? or-
I'll have to get back to you on that, because I don't want to
Yeah.
rush that, but,
Yeah.
yeah. There might be some things we may want to keep.
Is some of this redundant, like the impact criteria for granting a special use permit? Is that,
Again, this was specific to mill redevelopment.
right? Yeah, that's why I mean, it's part of the mill complex. I just didn't know if that, whatever it's talking about, I haven't had a chance to like read this as a,
What? You didn't prepare for this meeting? Come on.
I didn't know why I didn't know we were gonna be talking about removing it.
Okay, so it's still on the table, but it makes sense that if it's, I think everyone's agreed the mill's been redeveloped. It's hard to think that in the next 30 or 50 years, somebody's gonna tear down those buildings, do something different. They might change uses, right, but,
Could they tear down that boiler building and build a new building?
uh-huh. But under the new zoning.
Right.
If we don't.
How much square footage is it?
Maybe we'll get way more than 16 units there.
Maybe.
But
Do-
not under the new zone.
Do we care?
As long as they put a brewery there.
No.
Can they put more than 16 units? That's what I didn't-
Downtown, maybe.
All right, so I'll look at that.
Okay, so Bart will. And again, yeah, take another look at it, everyone, and when you come back and before we send anything to, finalize anything for, public hearing.
'Cause they can only put 16 units in. I guess that's what I was saying.
In that little spot, probably, yeah.
What's that?
Bart's gonna figure that out for
Yeah.
us.
So saying if you could put
Okay.
32.
So
This limits you to 16.
All right,
Big tower.
so I think the only thing left
It's a big
is,
building. It's a pretty big.
I don't believe that we did,
Sorry, go ahead, pal.
okay, I'm sorry.
I think it was a pretty good sized footprint.
The building does, it does.
Yeah, so I was saying you could probably get more than 16 units.
Perfect for a big-
At 50 feet tall.
I don't believe we went through the table of permitted uses.
We'll just explain that. I just transferred
That's page 10.
page
11.
10. I took the M2A uses and I transferred them over to the new village corridor. And also the B1 uses as well. So basically, I didn't want to remove any type of uses that we have planned for that area. All we're doing really now is adding more housing opportunities here. It's still allowing for commercial to exist as it was intended.
So single family in BC, north-south Main Street, becomes not a permitted use.
Well,
You can have an
it is.
existing use, right?
Single-family residential, you can still have it.
Oh, sorry, is permitted as
Is
a single
permitted.
use.
Yep,
Okay. So if someone wants to take one of those vacant lots and just put up a single family, they can.
they can, yeah.
Other than if it's on Main Street, North Main, South Main, it has to have residential, it has to have commercial on the first floor.
If it was
it's a
existing,
vacant-
if
it's
vacant,
existing,
correct.
Okay.
I thought we were trying to get away from single-family home development.
We'd make them all non-conforming. Right there.
Yeah.
That's already there.
Yeah,
Most
what's the problem
likely,
with that?
what's the problem, make them non-conforming?
Yeah.
Then they have to seek relief to do, any type of work to their home if they want to do this expansion.
So all the single families can stay, and they can stay as single families.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I'm thinking in redevelopment.
So that's a good point.
I-
Do we want expansion of existing use to also fall under needing to have commercial?
I don't, do you guys discuss?
Because that's a lot of single-family houses. Or, I think Jeff mentioned, is there a threshold? Like someone takes a duplex, and they want to convert it to 4 units. Our intent isn't to have them have to put commercial on the first floor.
Correct.
So does 4 units, is that the trigger?
What's
But
normal?
that was the existing residential use though, right?
Most of those houses would probably go more in.
So
Yeah.
it'd already be exempt. They can do that, based on what that last discussion.
In these single-family lots, they could convert them all to residential. 12 units,
Right.
Yeah.
16 units.
I mean, they could add commercial, but it would
Right.
be
Yeah.
their choice. Yeah.
Would they do that? I don't know. Let me ask Val. Val,
No.
would someone do that? You think in this market, if we were to change the zoning as proposed, allow for single family, you think someone would build single families or do something different?
Would they build it, not on a vacant, no. Change the zoning?
Right.
No, you'd maximize density.
Right.
I'm thinking more if you have an existing single family, are we making an incentive to tear it down and build just multifamilies with no commercial aspect along Main Street, which really
I
wasn't our intended
gotcha.
use. So maybe there should be a
4.
threshold there.
Yeah, it was a different, I mean, it was a different, it's a unique situation, but someone did just build a home, single-family home on South Main Street.
Yeah,
That technically, I think, fronts on Main Street, because it's a single lot, even though the driveway goes
That's
through an
correct.
adjacent lot. I think
the,
it technically
yeah,
is.
the lot has frontage on,
Which lot is this?
yeah, the Pelzar house.
On that Exeter Road.
Yeah,
Exeter Road.
South Main, I call it the south,
Yeah.
so BC
Yeah.
South. or whatever.
BC South, okay,
BC
yeah.
South, that's correct.
BC
Yeah.
South, sorry.
BC.
Yeah.
BC. We can have a different name too.
Yeah,
And that was-
but he did that through a variance too, right? Yeah, he would have. I don't think that
No,
was,
so
was that,
it-
oh, that
no.
was zone single family.
No, it had,
M2A?
no, it had existing, it was, it had 2 houses on the lot.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
tore down one of them and rebuilt his new house out
Yeah.
back. So it was
Okay.
legally non-conforming from a use standpoint, so he had that.
And the
Yeah.
access is not through the parcel the house sits on.
I believe it's probably
But what-
through the,
But
Through
the-
adjacent parcel, yeah.
his, yeah.
The
but has
X's,
frontage.
but the X's are permitted uses.
Correct.
Yeah, so in the existing M2A zone, he could have done that anyway.
So I guess we're saying, do we want to continue to allow people to be able to do that? So,
Let's see.
take a vacant lot.
We've already decided not. If it's a vacant lot, an existing commercial, or a lot with mixed use, on, in the three sections, if it's built on or redeveloped, if it falls under that, except for home-based business, then it has to have commercial on the first floor.
And if it's an existing.
If it's a single family, is there a threshold at which that first floor would have to be commercial? So that we don't take single-family lots and have those converted into more apartment-style buildings,
Mhm.
which would be up to 16 units. Either 12 or 16, depending if you're north or south,
Without having commercial.
with no commercial. I mean, they would be permitted to do like the duplex up or down,
Up the courtyard,
courtyard.
and they add more units above that. Courtyard 16 units, then they go to the special use permit. Process.
But if it was over 4, then they couldn't do that, because they need the mixed use, right? If the threshold was 4, then someone could take a single family and do,
Fourplex.
yeah, they could do a 4-plex. So a stacked duplex, side-by-side duplex, front-back duplex, 4-unit apartment house,
Right there.
that's it, that's where it ends.
Well, there's a couple, others have commercial.
Townhouses, we could do that.
Live, work, play, but I think that's 3 units, and that's a
Yeah.
commercial element there, so.
So, I mean, it gives a lot more flexibility for those units to expand, number of dwelling units on the lot. But it doesn't, I think it gives kind of a, what would you call it, like a stopping point that it becomes all larger residential, solely 100% residential properties, which is contrary to kind of how we're looking to have the downtown grow.
Could someone convert a existing multi-family home into a single family?
I'm sure they could, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they would.
What's allowed, right?
Would they? Yeah.
Anybody want to live downtown?
Jumps around here.
All right, well, maybe that's the other thing. If it's multifamily, do we say you keep it either multifamily or you add a commercial element too? If you redevelop.
If you're redeveloping, but at what number of units? I don't think that if you have a duplex and you want to convert it to 3 units, so let's say you have a duplex and there's few of them, and, unit sizes might be, whatever, 1,500 square feet.
I would exclude duplex. I would say anything above 4 units, let's say.
Yeah,
If you are redeveloping, you gotta keep it at least 4, or you add commercial.
4 or less, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm proposing.
Yeah. Something to that effect.
It's not 4.
4.
Yeah, anything above 4 units.
Or
4 or above, or above 4?
Well, I think we've had discussions in the past that everybody felt like, once you get above 4 units, it's,
Right, so 5.
now you're into an
greater.
apartment building.
5 or more,
Yeah.
Right,
yeah. 5 or more.
Greater than 4.
yeah.
greater than
Greater
4.
than 4. Jane, thoughts on that? Not to call everybody out, but just trying to get input.
Good.
Good job, though. Calling people out.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
I'm feeling left uncalled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll work that in?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, back to the table.
I see what you were talking about now with the, if they could fit more than 16 units downtown, they could with a special use permit. Based on this table, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how they could get away with it, if they were to do something with that building.
You have to come for, yeah.
So the other ones, you had just notations, right, on the multifamily?
Carrying them over, basically. I had to re-citation them, but it's basically putting all the uses that were in the M2A and the B1 and M1 that are being dissolved and put them into the VC district.
Okay. And then coming down, you've added in bed and breakfast, that's great.
Yeah, I can rent a room,
It would be nice to have a place that someone can stay in town,
so I don't have to
right?
go to well.
You've added automotive repair,
Yeah, and that's from the B1,
okay,
so that's transferring over.
all right, and then
Could I add
we
one more?
probably would only want that in certain, on the north or south. Do we need to specify that?
I would have to break the table, so that's something. Would you like me to break the use table to the sub-districts, and then we start being a little more strategic in the uses?
For north,
North, center,
downtown,
south?
and south?
Yeah.
People wanna think about that? Talk about it, table it, to think more about it?
I could see that being warranted.
Okay. And I will do that.
Okay.
What about a solar cell array?
We need a whole ordinance for that.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we're looking at, there's been a look at putting one in the Sewell well.
Yep.
And some of the residents are saying it's an R district.
Mhm.
And solar cells are not residential units.
Mm-hmm.
So that would, the city might be able to do it, but, town of Newmarket might be able to do it, but no
Right.
private person could do it.
That's correct. I think that's something we can, if the board wants to consider after this process is, where do we want our photovoltaic solar fields? Or
Yeah, I
not,
think
or
we
not.
should at least have zoning that will allow you to build a photovoltaic array somewhere.
You can do ground mounted, like personal one, not
Okay,
field.
let's,
But anyways, yeah.
Get back to this.
Well, that was a serious question.
Do you wanna add it as a permitted
But that wouldn't
use?
apply to rooftop.
Yeah.
No, not rooftop, fields.
Are you saying, do you want to add that as a permitted use in the VC,
In this list, yeah.
VC, or?
Not
See the
a
north
VC.
and south
No.
has some room potential, right? There's some bigger parcels that are over.
Yeah, we don't want that all on the corridor, come on.
I don't, how big
But this is the
qualifies?
whole town.
No,
This
no,
list is
but we're
everything.
only talking about village
Okay.
corridor,
Okay, you don't
north,
want it on
south,
the corridor.
downtown.
We,
That's the focus right now.
Okay.
yeah.
How big qualifies?
Okay, so Bart will do some revision on here.
Yes.
Are there any of these uses that are on this list that people feel would not be appropriate along the corridor? Not getting into where along the corridor, just anywhere on the corridor.
I don't know if we want automotive repair in the central.
What's the definition of a conference center?
I had to look at the definition. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I imagine we,
I don't know if that's something you'd want on the corridor.
Okay, and the definitions, everybody, just for reference, they're in the zoning ordinance.
Commercial amusement was.
it's probably like
The bowling
arcades.
alley,
Yeah, maybe bowling alley too. I don't know. Bowling alley could be a lounge too.
well, we added that.
Yeah.
That's an accessory use of the
Yeah.
building.
Primary, right?
Now it is.
So look at conference center, look at automotive.
Maybe think about forestry and agriculture. I mean, I think the incentive there is to develop the corridor.
Somebody built a house right when the only person I know that was gonna do any agriculture on any of these parcels.
What?
Where the Pelsar house is. That fellow was gonna do agriculture.
Yeah.
Might have done it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some light manufacturing in the south.
Yes, Badgers, yeah.
Mhm.
Do we want it in the north, do we want to allow it in the north? I don't know if we want it in the south.
Yeah, I would, well, yeah, I would agree with that.
Light manufacture, yeah. I mean, what is like 3D printing? Is that light manufacturing?
Or is it just, well, it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blacksmithing.
actually, you had a bike shop in there. I don't
Yeah.
know, is that light manufacturing?
That's right, in the mills, the original one was the bike shop.
Let me look at the
Oh, the-
definition, yeah.
Yeah. okay.
Yeah.
What's like, can you have chickens?
No,
That's under agriculture, including animal industry is a no. It's blank.
there's two definitions, forestry, agriculture, including animals, and one not excluding animals. Do you want chickens?
Animals are I mean, I have.
I know, yeah.
You don't live downtown.
Um,
I mean, eggs are very, profitable these days, so.
There must be an ordinance per person.
They're currently not allowed in the B.
So a discussion for next time.
Yeah.
Do we want husbandry or not?
Also wholesale,
Wholesale?
yeah.
Again, you know what?
And I mean, I guess.
Now, I think everybody should do their due diligence.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yep.
We can all look up online or within our zoning books of the definitions. And then Bart can,
Or is anything that
yeah,
is missing
right.
that you'd like to
And
see?
then, so I think next meeting, we try to finish up
The table?
the table. Re-review anything outstanding that is open for discussion. And then
Move to public
we can
hearing.
move to public hearing, which kind of bring us to public hearing maybe in May.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you build residential with, commercial with no residential?
Mhm.
yes.
Okay. Sometimes I get a little lost.
As long as there's no chickens in it.
To be determined.
Right, you can have a grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sell the eggs.
Just can't sell live chickens in there.
Okay, I think,
No wet market.
I believe that, does that wrap up?
We land in the parking requirements. Did we leave it the same across the
We
three?
had one
Was it 0 in the middle?
and one on
one,
per
one?
unit on the
Yeah,
other.
I'll change that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my question. Do we want that in the zoning or do we want it in site regs? Probably, because M2A did have the parking requirements, but the rest of the town is in the site regulations under residential.
So it would only apply, anything only applies if it's over 4 units, correct? They have to come to site plan.
Right now, it's 3.
Is that 3, is
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
over 3, sorry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, over 3
over
comes
2.
to site plan.
Right, and then typically that's where plan board would handle the regulations if it was in the M2A district.
Right.
But to Bill's point, I think the agreement was north 1, center 0, south 1.
Right.
Is everyone like that?
Mm-hmm.
101, 101?
One per unit,
101.
Yeah,
or one per unit.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
We did by unit, not
yeah,
bedrooms.
yeah. But,
That
and then,
includes commercial
no,
parking.
that's different now, so then we have to go revisit the commercial and site regs.
Yeah.
So that's so in mixed uses, that's per residential unit, 101, or in sole residential.
Correct. About 0.50, 0.5? No? 101? That's what the board wants?
That's right, so it's greater than 3 is what we decided on for site plan?
Well, we
Yeah, we
could,
did.
yeah, I think it's
Okay.
3, yeah, greater than 3, so 4 or up.
Okay.
Impact fee for, to help put money in the garage fund when you're selling for 16 units right downtown.
There we go, another new, that's a discussion for the council?
That's,
Planning
they're
board?
gonna look at you, the board, and then council.
Okay, so is everybody good on, we're on the review at this point? Art will come back to us with the updates and
You
edits.
wanna look at the schedule there? What was the schedule?
Oh, that's for master plan. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the next thing.
All right, master plan update, review schedule. Bart, I will give you the floor.
Yeah, so we're doing well with chapter development. The master plan subcommittee recently received the downtown riverfront and transportation plan, so next month they're gonna make their final comments until it's gonna be forwarded to the planning board. So we're reaching this point when we're gonna actually see chapters. And I wanna talk about scheduling, because we only meet once a month. If we want to continue that, then how many chapters is it worth reviewing without overburdening the board? And if once a month is not adequate, we should probably start talking workshops and developing a schedule for that. My idea was this is going to be through the whole summer into fall.
I think we wait till we have the new board to talk about if we go by, twice a month, a workshop and a
Okay.
business meeting. Because we have 3 new members,
That's true.
and then we have 2 alternates to fill.
We'll just get preliminary results.
Well,
Yeah.
for those of us staying, would anyone
Yeah.
object to, for those who are still continuing in our terms, does anyone object to having 2 meetings a month, one being a workshop and one the regular business meeting?
What day of the week?
Well,
Well, TBD, yeah.
Yeah.
so it depends on what day of the week.
Are
Is
you
it-
required to make 80 or 90% of them?
There's a
Statute,
lot
yeah.
to do on the rewrite of every chapter. Not that we're doing any heavy lifting, the committees have been unbelievable. But there's a lot to review.
Is it possible to jump in to part of the review as the master plan is reviewing if you wanted to? Or you gotta
That's
wait till-
that's what will be happening. We'll be reviewing a chapter kind of at a time.
But there's a schedule for the master plan committee and then it jumps to planning board. Can we
Yeah.
jump in on the?
You
one
can,
of the master
yeah,
plan?
you can come in. They're all noticed, so it doesn't matter if multiple board members want to join in those meetings. I think it's fine.
Just might help.
Yeah.
Is that one of your handouts
Waiting
tonight,
until the
Bart?
planning.
That's right, you get it, yeah. Yeah, you're more, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, these are public hearings, so we've got to be meeting prior to that. When it comes before planning board, it's not coming to planning board for a public hearing
Correct.
immediately. It's coming to planning board for review, and then planning board will set a public hearing date.
Yeah, that's probably misnomer right there, public hearings, more of planning board has the document and starts reviewing and then eventually has its public hearing.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
And even
In the blue
these,
zone.
even the blue zones
Even the
getting
yellow, too.
extended.
Yeah. So I guess my point is, a lot of these are gonna be in like a draft format, advanced draft format where the board can start reviewing them.
Once
So-
it gets out of committee.
Correct.
I think what would be good, Bart, is if you do the chart like this and pull it out maybe to like at least the end of the year, and then yellow planning board, doesn't have to be public hearing, but just when it comes to when you're estimating it could get to the planning board, that particular chapter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, into a different color.
So then,
yeah.
yeah, we'll keep the
That makes-
master plan committees in blue, and then when you anticipate that it would come to the planning board.
I can do that. I'll have that for next meeting.
And then we'll really see where it's grouping up, right? As to maybe, do we need workshops every month? Is there, maybe it's a workshop
Prior to.
prior to, it's a Saturday workshop because it's gonna be more than 2 hours. You know, I'm saying we're gonna get a better idea.
Yeah, I get it.
Or we start at 6.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we'll figure it out. But I will,
Post more meetings, just
Yeah.
that,
It will depend.
right, attendance won't necessarily be perfect.
it's okay.
throughout the summer.
I get it.
But I think it would also give all of us an idea as to when we would be expecting chapters to get into our hands for review. And then we can kind of
Mhm.
think about our own schedule. Like if you know it's coming, Jeff, it's like, oh great, this is going to be my nightly reading. You know.
I don't have vacations planned, but
Yeah, so then you can see it. All right.
I'm sure we all do, so, yeah, that's why we want to
Let's
talk
hope.
about it. That's why we want to talk about it.
Yeah, no. Okay. It is amazing how far along a lot of these committees are and chapters. Committee reports. Are you on energy?
I'm still on energy. I'll be on for the last meeting next week, I guess.
Because you are a planning board rep to the committee? Okay.
And the subject of that meeting is Casella is coming to present on our recycling program.
Yeah.
So that's still the main focus of that energy environment group, is to see what they can do on that. So we'll find out.
When is that meeting?
Next week.
The 26th, I believe.
Next Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays from now?
I think that's
Yeah, next Wednesday, right?
next Wednesday,
Yeah.
Okay.
Curious
Yep.
about recycling.
We can you check our bylaws? Can the chair appoint alternates to the committees?
I'll look.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff,
You
Concom?
can change the bylaws too, by the way.
That's true. It's like, yeah. Or can you check and see if that's legal? I guess is more the
Yeah.
question. Concom.
This administration?
Right, right.
A
Yeah.
couple of meetings later. Yeah. Concom was pretty busy this month with some good information. Mark West presented updated
Oh, yeah,
combined wetlands
Brian.
mapping, which was very interesting. They used LiDAR to get the basis for the mapping, and it's far more accurate than they used to be. I mean, you can see the stone walls, you can see everything in the mapping. I mean, it's quite accurate. I have played with it with flood stuff before, so it's incredible.
Is
And
it,
so-
do you feel it's an expansion of existing?
It's a mix.
Okay.
So some got smaller, some got bigger. The net increase was 81.9 acres across the town.
That's it.
And
Wow.
the vast majority of that was near
Leda
golf
Lane.
course.
Oh.
And we had an interesting discussion, and I think it would be good for Mark to come talk to the planning board for when we do see a development comes in and what's presented on the plan set to be the edge of the prime wetland versus the edge of a regular wetland. I've seen it presented to this planning board different ways by different scientists or different professionals. So understanding kind of the intent of the line and how it should be shown and determined for development purposes or jurisdictional purposes would be, I think, very beneficial to us all.
Is there a recommendation that relative to our site plans or it would apply to subdivision 2, that we should have in those regulations as how it should be shown?
We could probably add clarification.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we talked
Yeah.
about, was
All right.
clarification
Mhm.
as to what it would be.
Good.
And Mark he's still not done with his final reports and everything like that, so it would be
Yeah.
post and finalizing and us, the town adopting the new maps, right?
Yes, so we'd have to go through that process of the town council when that's the zoning. Yeah.
About our notification.
Yep.
We did talk about notifying abutters and whether or not it would be people that are directly impacted or people impacted by the overlay district around it, and kind of decide to overlay. So anyone that is impacted, we thought it would be a great idea just to put those folks on notice, hey, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Your yards within the prime wetland buffer.
Mhm.
Overlay. So, and he also said a lot of the prime wetlands in Newmarket are incredibly high-ranked habitat, like very phenomenal habitat for them and whatnot. So, very interesting discussion. We went over the land and water conservation chapter from the master plan, and kind of got a first look at the downtown riverfront chapter to review. So that was a fairly busy meeting. Also talked a little bit about the Rosa property, and next month we'll see budget sheets for that. And the Turtle Fest is May 10th, so people can plan.
Yeah.
Which looks like a pretty good event. The folks on the Concom have put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
Or, I believe,
Yeah.
some time into it.
Is this like an annual Turtle Fest?
We hope so.
Great.
The inaugural.
Okay.
Yeah. T-shirts and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Prizes
Yeah. Oh, there's gonna be music afterwards, Stone Church, so.
Stone Church.
and free beer. No.
Don't say that,
That was just a joke
Yeah.
to everyone watching on TV.
And we briefly touched on solar at the school site. But
Yep.
didn't really discuss it very much.
So no applications before the Concom relative to anything that potentially would be coming to the planning board?
You mean impacting wetland?
Yeah, like any wetland applications that Concom has to
Nothing.
Well,
you
if
know.
there may,
expedite wetland permits that come before you, minimum major impacts.
The only things I've seen from DS is docks,
Okay.
so nothing else.
something came up as a maybe in future
Okay.
maybe not.
Right. Jean?
Nothing.
Okay. CIP doesn't start till what, this summer? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have you on anything yet, Bill?
Yeah,
And TC?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott, thank you.
So if you remember, the people that own this house, you can see out the window here, came to us probably a year or so ago, and they wanted to build a wine bar down there. They're now gonna put it in the flower shop. So where the flower shop's being renovated, they're gonna put a wine bar in there. And then,
Next to it, left side, right side if you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Inkwell.
Bill
yeah, the
Inkwell.
old Inkwell flowers.
Durgan's the one across with the Merrill.
Put another plaque on.
It could be, I don't know. That's what it's
And
called.
then the coffee shop on North Main Street is gonna become June's Cafe,
South Main Street.
the one that was owned by the Japanese guy.
Yep. South
Yeah.
Main Street.
South Main Street,
Yep.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Horseshoe.
The Horseshoe, right, I couldn't remember that name.
Mhm.
Which is owned by a guy that owns Lil's Cafe in Kittery, so this is an
Wow.
expansion for him.
Are they gonna make colors?
Yeah, I just read my mind. That'd be good. Why is this coming before the town council?
This was just general discussion.
Okay.
I thought people would be interested.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't know if they were, okay, go ahead.
We discuss things in town.
Okay.
Yeah, taking over the authority.
We're interested in the town, you know.
Okay.
right? Kelly Ayotte has a government efficiency person, and that person has eliminated the public transport funding from her new budget. So Coast is in big trouble, and so we're looking into seeing if we can do anything to help in that regard. We have approved an architectural study of the library to see if the library can be more effectively used or changed around. We have funded an audit of our computer system for cyber attacks to try to make us a little tougher. Tanner Circle has now been accepted as a town road.
Just a quick clarification. It's actually coming back to the board for a public hearing. We forgot to do that, so.
Tanner Circle?
Yeah, Tanner Circle, so.
Okay, sorry.
Be a public hearing, yeah. So tomorrow. Be a public hearing.
And then we have just negotiated, or we're negotiating a contract to haul our poop, which is, we take the sewage water and we turn it into a solid material in a dumpster, and then we haul it off to Rochester. It's always been a difficult thing to find people to haul this stuff, and finding places to inventory it, etc. Which is why I've talked about this before, we like 3-4 years ago, we used to haul out stuff that was like 0.5% solids. We now haul off stuff that's 20% solid, so we significantly reduced the volume of it. But we're a little concerned that Rochester is going to go away at some point. And so we've actually funded a trip for Sean to go to Germany. And in Europe, all their landfills were filled 100 years ago, and so they've been landfilling since the Roman times, right? So a place like Munich doesn't actually do, they get rid of they get it all back, they burn it, or they put it in fields as fertilizer, or they don't actually landfill it at all. And then
Isn't that available out here? Isn't there a New England biosolids that land applies sludge?
I know there's one in Canterbury. The problem you get with that is PFAS, right?
Right.
Things like that, there are contaminants in it, right?
That's what it means.
Now, Sean says we do not have any PFAS, but as you know, we're doing a lot of septic business now. And one of the reasons, since we got this 20% reduction now, and Exeter had a big problem with their sewage system, so we've been processing all the stuff for Exeter, which is why you might have noticed your sewer bill didn't go up this year. It stayed the same, despite the fact that all the chemicals and everything went up. And the reason for it was Exeter is paying us to process their sewage, and we charge them for it. And so then we keep that money within the septic facility, and that covers all the increase in prices and everything. And we reduced we're down to basically 1,000 tons a year. I mean, we used to be many thousands of tons a year. And then we funded a project to look at a solar array. And the thing that has been published is a 1,100 panel in the Sewell. So if you drive out 152 on the left side of the road, there's a water pump down there, right? And that whole field being covered with solar cells. That has caused a lot of concern by a lot of neighbors, but it's just a proposal, and it's actually the one they proposed is it's a 12-year payback and a 5% return on your investment. So, you could get T-bills and get the same return with zero risk. So it's really a crap proposal financially. But if we could, that's because we sell it back to the company, right? So you sell it back to them at 4 cents and they sell it back to you at 10 cents. So if you can actually use the electricity, then you're using it at 10 cents, and then it makes a lot of sense. So as you know, we have some solar on the firehouse, and so we're looking at various places that we could put solar in and try to, be able to use it.
Any questions for Scott?
Curious, do we pay Mr. Fox composting for the composting out on the transfer station, or do they take that for free? Do you know?
I don't know.
Is that under energy or Concom?
I don't remember when we set it up.
Oh.
I mean, it's through a private contractor, Mr. Fox.
Right.
We set it up like first things and
Yeah.
Imagine you paid for it.
They kind of cost okay. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I
It wasn't a
noticed
lot,
in
it
the town
wasn't a lot
report.
because it reduced the cost of
Right.
waste transfer
Right.
out of the dumpsters.
Right, and it was
The
quite a
lights
bit,
also-
it was 44 tons that was composted, so I was curious of what we're paying.
I thought it was way cheaper because we looked into it offsetting the cost of
Casella.
putting it in the dumpsters.
Yeah.
Right,
Like this, because it's the heaviest waste.
Right.
Most people dispose of it in an orange trash bag. That was a long time ago that was set up. I know that it's used because you can put pizza boxes in there. And I went there once in the fall with the pile.
Yeah, no, it's
They were-
surprising.
Pizza boxes are one of those things like eggs, 1 year they're good for you, the next year they're bad for you, the next year they're good, like pizza, I
Okay.
see oh yeah, you can put them in, and then, oh no, you can't put them in, and then, oh, you can put them in.
All right.
Commercial compost you can do, you can deal with the greases
Getting late here, folks. All right, planners report, and I'm just seeing now, Bart, in our handout as to your proposed, did you hand this out?
Yeah, I handed it to everyone.
Okay, but we-
Those Bill's comments.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right. So we're just
So I
gonna
was-
take
I
another
just-
look
I
at
just-
those.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
these are Bill's comments?
Yeah. we kinda
Okay,
gone
sorry,
through
Bill.
it.
Yeah.
No, no.
I think, yeah,
We
I
went
think we
through
touched
it.
upon 'em.
Okay, you're good. Sorry I missed that.
The only real update I have is another town council, they approved the contract with SRPC for help us to continue our rezoning efforts. So basically, we'll be starting right now, April and May, on those efforts to go through our town and see where there's opportunities. So we'll be doing some base mapping and then some community surveys. So yes, we're already surveyed out, but gotta kind of replicate the process. So yeah, we're starting on that. So that's exciting, and that's a really major update from the planning office. Besides the master plan work that everyone's familiar with. So
And
Yeah.
know that Bart's like at a meeting probably every night, every
Yeah.
week. On that.
ZBA was working on some application for development on a new road.
It was pulled.
they pulled it. So it probably will come back, but for right now, it has been withdrawn.
Real quick, that we did, the changes in lot lines and whatnot, we approved for the
Mitchell.
Mitchell property, that may have hit a snag with some of the funding, federal, part of it's fishing game, federal.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Sound like there was some concern. Hopefully it goes
Agreed.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Any other business to discuss or comments? If not, oh, sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, I'm sorry. That's my bad. Thank you.
Say thanks to
No.
all of you. It's been great serving on the board with you. And Eric, but he's not here. So I would like to acknowledge his service too, right?
Absolutely.
He's not coming back, I'm assuming, right?
There are 2 alternate spots open.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I can in all.
Yeah.
So-
I'm hoping to serve on the town charter commission, so that's what my plan is.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
on behalf of the board, thank you so much for your service. Eric, thank you for your service, and Abby as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have enjoyed.
Mikhail too.
And
Mikhail,
we know
yeah.
Mikhail's not coming back. Mikhail as well. Appreciate everybody's contributions, and been great to work with you, with everyone. So,
You've
and
been on for a while, haven't you, Patrick?
Between the planning board and the conservation commission, it's more than 10 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Good amount of time.
That's a good amount.
I hope you get in the charter commission.
That's
Yeah.
my hope. I'm excited about that. I think that's a big opportunity, so.
and you'll have to take a position, appointed planning boards or voted members.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get elected first, right? Yeah.
Okay. But no, thank you sincerely.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
I make a motion,
two.
All right.
adjourn.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Okay, all those in favor?
That's changed.
Aye,
Special.
yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.